Here we go now. Hello. Dang, welcome back to writing workout number 7. Ding, 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 ding. I don't know why it feels like a milestone. This one was so stupidly impossible to get together. But first, I'm Alex Hunter. I'm an author from the land of silk and oranges. And I'm glad that you're joining me here today to see some of my writing process. This is me brainstorming, getting back into the swing of things. I thought it might be nice to share this just because I want to demystify that writing process. And I know people who write often get into seasons where they're not writing. So this is how I get back into it, and maybe it'll help you. I have, so today I'm making my lists of different words, and then I'll make my associations afterwards. I have things that scare people in colors today, kind of inspired by John D. MacDonald, Deep Blue Goodbye. His books always have a color in the title and something else. I think it was also, I watched the Vin Diesel movie Pitch Black, so that's all in my head when I was writing this. I think I just finished it, and so I was like, that's a cool title, Pitch Black. Kind of tells you what the whole story's about. So that's the inspiration for this list. I'm coming up with my own version, and it put sci-fi in my head, so the story's going to end up being pretty sci-fi. But anyways, like I was saying, you think something's going to be real easy to put together. I've already done 6 of these. You think I'd worked out a lot of the kinks of the basic fundamentals of getting this together, right? Take the video on my phone, get the video off my phone onto my computer. I have to convert whatever format Apple puts their videos in into something that the DaVinci Resolve editor can handle, and then you stitch them all together, speed them up, make sure they're all oriented correctly, and then record this voiceover kind of thing, right? Well, it's like every part of that today was just impossible. I ran out of space on my phone. I ran out of space on my Apple Cloud, on my Google Drive. And so I had to find things to clear out, make choices, delete apps off my phone, just get the process ungunked enough to get this through. Then when I got it onto my computer, I kept trying to convert the files, but it kept failing. It was one thing after another. And then I thought I'd be able to record earlier in the week, but the week just got crazy. And but here we are, right? Fought through all that just kind of bullshit stuff and ended up succeeding in getting to a place where we can record. Sorry. I have pulled out an old mic, so we'll see if this audio quality is better. And I have the gain set to 0. So if it's anything else, you can just hear every little thing happening in the whole world, it seems like. So anyway, here I go. I'm connecting the list of words that I came up with, trying to find out what am I going to write about. And I'll go through, kind of connect things that just seem like they connect to my head. Sometimes I try to go anti that, pick the things that seem like they don't go together. Here I was thinking, just the first thing that connects. That's what I'm going to draw, and then that's how I'm going to make my list for today. Once I connect all the things that scare people to colors, I'll make a list of each of the ideas and then pick my favorite from that list. You'll see pink loudness and black quiet. Like I said, I just watched Pitch Black, the Vin Diesel movie where he has night vision and then he's in a world where it's night all the time, right? So that one was not too original, but that's okay, right? I was thinking a lot this week, partially because I wasn't writing or editing as much as I wanted to. Like I said, the craziness got away from me, I would say. And so I had a lot of time to think, doing other things. about what needs to be done once my book comes out in December. What's the best nest I can make for it so that I can be proud of where it lays? And I know I can't do everything. Money's a limiting factor. Time's a limiting factor. The idea that I say December is a limiting factor, but I think a good one, because it gives me a limit to just noodling on editing and getting feedback, all that kind of stuff. But I was listening to the Church of What's Happening Now. It's a very adult-rated podcast, I would say. So I would suggest that if you're okay hearing adult language and dirty themes and that kind of stuff, but I love it. And Joey Diaz, one of the hosts, was talking to Lee Syatt, the other host. And Lee Syatt was wondering how Joey sold comedy tickets to his comedy tours. And Joey Diaz said, you have to put yourself in the position of the guy sitting on the couch, not going to a comedy show. What does it take to get him off the couch and to buy a ticket to your show? There's people who are going to buy it no matter what. As soon as sales open, they're going to buy it. But to fill a room, you need people who don't normally buy comedy tickets to buy comedy tickets. I thought that was very similar to what I've been thinking all week about. How do you sell books as a independent author, right? You have your family and close friends who will hopefully be there on the first day and order a couple copies. But if you really want to move the needle, you need to get to those people who might buy one book a year, might buy a couple books on their summer vacation or something. It's how do you get people to sort of create a new behavior to change the thing that they were going to do that day and add your book into their cart, right? So I try to put myself in that shoes, which isn't too hard. I buy books, right? Maybe more frequently than some of the people I just mentioned, who you'll need to buy your book if you want it to be successful. But I almost always buy my books based on recommendation. So a Substack article where they sometimes just throw out here's 3 classics, as an example to something they've been talking about, and I'll almost always go ahead and check out the summaries, and if they look good, I add them to my cart. And if it's an author that I really respect that I follow on Substack and they recommend a book, I'll almost always put it in my cart. I'll probably buy 10 books at a time, twice a year, 3 times a year, something like that, depending how tight the money is. But yeah, that's how I find the books. It's all recommended based on Substack people that I follow and don't follow. And then sort of below that, I would say, is the people who make videos on books. I'm not going to say the people on TikTok who do books videos. That book talk phrase just makes me cringe so hard. But they come across my feed like everybody else who's probably into books, right? So it's not surprising that that's where probably a lot of people find their books. And it's also not surprising that probably a lot of new authors will send their books out to book talkers, right? Because if you can get recommended there, you're going to get people to add it to your cart. So it makes me think, what's the best approach for a relatively unknown self-published author to get their book into more people's hands? I think the first thing's quality of the book, right? Even if it gets some sort of massive moment, but the book is not quality, people aren't going to come back. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to just sell one book, right? We're trying to make it a longer, sustainable thing. So yeah, I've been just noodling on that. Who do you send your book to? Let's say that's the basic thing, right? You order 20 early copies of your book and you send it out. Who do you send it to? Where can you make some splash just to get it recommended by other people, right? Yeah, just the basics of how are you going to market something whose value is completely unknown to people. part of that is this. I hope by showing my writing process, you can see kind of how my brain thinks, and maybe that'll intrigue you into buying a book. Perhaps there's other video ideas I can come up with that would pull in an audience. But somebody recommending their own book is, I think, never as successful as somebody trusts, like a third party recommending the book, right? So I'll just put that out there. If anybody wants a copy, let me know. Whether you're a book talker or not, just let's talk about it, right? So I came up with this purple cold idea. I had crash landed on a deserted island, but with a sci-fi twist. I don't quite get into that level of detail here, right? Right now I'm writing one page, and so it's about 250 to 400 words. I can check right now. Let's do it. This one is 300. So it's not some giant novel with a bunch of time to extrapolate and build characters. It's just like a scene from what could be a larger story. And instead of Purple Cold, I decided the title, Nobody Brings a Coat to the Equator. Right, I had that desert island flair going on in my head. I didn't know exactly how sci-fi was going to make it, but that just seemed to intrigue me, that title. So now I will do my live reading of Nobody Brings a Coat to the Equator. And the copy that I'm going to be reading is slightly edited from the one I'm writing. When I typed it up, I always just make a couple of edits, just clear things up. Sometimes I can't read the handwriting. Sometimes it's, there just needs to be a period, or name needs to be corrected to match what it said earlier. So, yeah, here we go. Nobody Brings a Coat to the Equator by Alex Hunter. Marshall was self-selected to make the voyage. The others were weak of the body, strong of the mind, except for the few who were only strong of the purse. Lieutenant Captain Sugura was one of the later, and he wouldn't take off his dress coat for fear that Marshall would take the insignia back to the station and have his way with the lieutenant captain's wife. Sugura was 12 voyages away from earning his captain rank and the gold rope that came with it. The brains devised the plan, 1,000 miles over an open ocean that froze solid at night. To them it was fun, a break from the virtual and simulated labs, a splurging vacation into physical reality that revealed softness that had become the norm in science. And Sugura was the kindest and most human of the bunch. Marshall had met her at the sending-off party, the day before departure. As they prepared the research vessel, she worked as a translator between the eggheads and the muscle, the very same Marshall, and a replacement cook they had picked up in Proto-Ibiza, Jack. For all their brains, they hadn't thought to hire any others. When you get to Rebu Base, Anne said, pushing herself to speak above her normal whisper, make sure to tell them you've got 10 days of fuel left from Pologram 16. We may have to burn the Major's coat, Marshall replied. Over 1,000 miles across an ocean that freezes solid. We're not sure how long it'll take to get their measurements, to deploy the submersibles, and what kind of damage that switch in the atmosphere might have on the hull. I wish you'd come with. Your company is so much sweeter than Jack's. I'd die in all that sun, she whispered. I told you Mott is there, watching, and they'd kill me at the university if he saw me sailing the sea, socializing with some wild man while my husband turned the wheel. Marshall's face grew dark, and he went back to moving crates of equipment into the storage space between the hydrofoil and the embarkment craft's hull. So there's Nobody Brings a Coat to the Equator. Kind of the setup for what the story might be. This guy, Marshall, kind of a meathead, moving boxes for the scientists, going to do the work that they're not able to do. Another character, Jack, who's picked up last minute, unverified, kind of wild. And I think that sets up a great story, especially how he is falling for the lieutenant captain's wife. So there's a lot there that could blossom into a bigger story. I think out of all the snippets I've done so far, this one's definitely the closest to complete, right? Like this could be a page, and then there could be a page after, and then a chapter, and then a whole book after it. So I think I'm definitely moving in the right direction from where I was, 7 episodes ago when I did the first one of these writing workouts. I think I can see the progress that, it's working, just getting often as I can, pen on the paper, and moving my way through just writing, right? I think there are 3 or 4 more single-page stories, and then we get into 2 pages. So moving towards those, 2,000-word short stories, hopefully be there by the end of September in my writing. So after this, we get into my everything I wrote in July. And then, like I said, September, my hope is we are hitting like the 4-page mark. And that will really put a lot more revolutions in terms of like words per day, and get me back up to that novel writing speed, where I like to finish, 100,000 word book in 3 months, right? So you can do the math on how many words per day. It's not insane. It's probably like between 1,000 and 2,000 words a day to hit that mark, right? 90 days, 100,000 words. So yeah, 1,000 to 2,000 words a day. And then we'll have the next novel done. I'm not sure how much of that process I'm going to share. Like I said, I think people might be interested in this beginning part of the writing process, but maybe people are interested in the other one as well. And that won't be handwritten. Eventually I'll be moving over to typed Word just to get that higher speed. I write fast as I can, but there is a limit, I think, to where, I'm 28 years old. I've used a keyboard my whole life. It's just never going to be faster for me to write than to type. So maybe I'll do a screen recording or something instead of writing. If you have any thoughts, let me know, right? Because we're going to get up to that novel length. If I'm doing the 2,000 word short stories in September, by November, probably starting the next novel. So, and this will come out at the end of September, right? So, yeah, let me know, because probably when you're seeing this, I'm gearing up for what is the next book going to be. And if you'd like to see that process, which is slightly different than this one, obviously we're just doing these little snippets. Currently, right now, I'll just, it's early August right now when I'm recording this. I'm into the 2 pages going on to 3, and yeah, I feel like I'm ready, almost ready. That I like to push it off as much as I can, so I feel like real hungry for a longer story. But in the next 2-3 months, we'll be on the novel. So if you'd like to see that, let me know. It won't be a writing workout anymore. It'll be, the performance, I guess. And yeah, well, I'll end it there. I went over the writing again. Just good to sit and talk and work through my thoughts, really. I have some other ideas for some content I can mix in. We'll see if I get to that today or some other time, maybe in a couple weeks. But I'm glad I got to come here, talk to you, show off some of my writing. I hope you tell somebody about it if you liked what you're hearing and what you're seeing. I think it's really calming just to watch the words scroll across the page as I write them. Maybe that's self-absorbed, but I just, it's calming. So, thank you. Check out my Substack, abcb.substack.com. It'll be on the screen. If you want to see the little writing piece, just, a little, like it's a blog post essentially that I put with each video. So if you want to hear more from me, that's a way you can do it. And I also shared all of the writing prompts that I came up with for this day of writing. So that pink loudness, black quiet, losing gold, all those. There's a lot of good ones. For some reason, colors just pop for me with these word associations. And so yeah, there's a lot of good quality writing prompts there if that's your kind of thing you like to do. And if you do, please share your writing with me in the comments on the video post, on my Substack or notes, or send it to me somehow so I can just check out what you're doing. I'd love to take a look and read it. So thank you. See you on the next one. This is Writing Workouts. I'm Alex Hunter, and I'll see you in number 8.